Welcome to the wonderful world of dance, bringing you exclusive interviews with top dancers and choreographers and reviews of the world's best companies across the globe. You can find lots more on our website at thewonderfulworldofdance.com.
Hi, this is Savannah Saunders from The Wonderful World of Dance, and today I am super thrilled to introduce Katie McCann, who is Chicago-based former dancer, performer and teacher, who founded the really important Dance in the Parks, which is a professional dance company presenting dance in parks throughout Chicago. It's a really important initiative, and I'm so thrilled to be able to put the spotlight on dance in the parks. So hi Katie, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So you're in Chicago at the moment, are you?
I am. I've been here for almost 15 years.
Okay, that's quite a long time. So before we talk about dance in the parks, let's talk about your own journey a little bit. That sort of led you over those 15 years up until to come to Chicago. When did you personally start dancing, and what made you start dancing in the first place?
I started dancing very young. I think I was 4. And I don't actually remember, I want to do that. I think I was just one of those kids who couldn't sit still. Mm-hmm. And my mom just kept putting me in things. I remember a gymnastics class that I did not enjoy. I remember going to lots of things because I think she just wanted to wear me out so she could have a minute to herself. And then at some point, I think we went to a Nutcracker, and it was in Chicago. That was the first Nutcracker I ever saw. And again, I don't remember this moment, but my mom said, "Do you think you want to do that?" And I was like, "Sure." And she put me in classes, and I just never stopped. I don't actually remember a moment where, this is the thing that I'm going to do for a living, for whatever. It was just I do this.
Wow.
And so I came up, we moved a lot when I was a kid, so we always found whatever studio was nearby, so I kept training. I went to Butler University and majored in arts administration with a dance concentration, and then after that, I was in a ballet company in Lexington, Kentucky called Kentucky Ballet Theater for several years, and when I left there, Chicago, it was kind of our home city when I was growing up, but also was a close enough big city that I knew had a big dance scene, not just a company. So I moved there. I moved here, actually, to try and figure out what the next thing was. But I love this city so much that I just have ended up staying forever.
And
so here I am.
What's the dance scene like for Chicago? So I'm based in London, and we've got listeners of all around the world. Tell us what the Chicago dance scene feels like to you.
It's very diverse. We have the 2 major dance companies in the city are the Joffrey Ballet and Hubbard Street Dance Chicago, which are totally different.
Yeah.
Hubbard Street is very contemporary. Joffrey, now under current leadership, is turning it more classical. They're doing more of the classical rep as opposed to the more modern ballets that happened when it was founded. But they're both great, but also big. And then there's a huge mix of jazz and contemporary and little tiny modern things that happen in storefronts like our theaters. It's very, very diverse. There's a lot of room, I think, for people to do whatever their thing is. There's space for it, but it is big, which means it's spread out, and it's just a big city in general, so it's hard to gather your people. Do you know what I mean? Out of the millions of people that live here, to find your people who can come on the 2 days that you're doing your thing. That's tough. But it's very diverse. And Chicago, this is not my personal background, but Chicago has a really amazing tap history, house, all of those things that I'm not well versed in, but house was born here.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot happening here. And I feel like sometimes the genres get siloed off a little bit. If you follow the contemporary stuff, you know everything that's going on, but maybe you have no idea what's going on with the tap companies in town. But when they do cross or run into each other, I feel like everyone is very interested in what everyone else is doing. It's very collegial, that's so cool, what are you doing it, where are you doing it, how are you there is a friendliness, I feel, at least in my experience, across the board, So that like you're doing this thing, I'm doing this thing, that's amazing. How do we help each other?
It does sound like a really sort of thriving scene in such a huge city with so much to see and to access and to collaborate and perhaps to try and draw those genres together at some points. So this might be a good time to talk about dance in the parks. I certainly want to talk about your experience as a teacher. I'm quite interested in that. But tell us about why you founded Dance in the Parks, and tell us a bit about the company first.
Well, when I had danced with the ballet company in Lexington, they had a collaboration with the park district there to do one show every year in August. They built a temporary stage around a tree in a historic park downtown, and they did 2 weekends of an outdoor show. And since at that time, that was the only company in town. Mm-hmm. I think there's more now, but we were kind of the dancers. So that's what we did. So they threw together a show. We did it outside in pointe shoes on a plywood stage with Marley, like in 1,000,000% humidity in the South in August. So like the performance aspect of it was hard because it was hot and it was sweaty and it was, whatever. But I really loved being outside, because dancers almost never get to do that. Yeah. We're inside kids. And B, the way the audience behaved differently, because it was very casual. It was their own park that they hung out in all the time. The kids could run around or wiggle or talk. You brought the dog. You brought the dinner. So they were engaged in it, but the rules were different than when they came to see us in the Opera House. It was also more accessible, because I think then it was like $3 admission, something. So, I mean, more people could come. It was obvious. We were out in the middle of a park in the middle of the city. People, what is that? We will go see it. And I just really loved it. And then when I moved to Chicago, it's a huge city, but our park district is amazing. There's at least a tot lot in every neighborhood. Most neighborhoods have a tot lot, like a little playground, like it's just part of a block, but it's at least like a place for kids to go play that's fenced in. But most of them also have larger green spaces with field houses, athletic fields, various other things. The park district offers classes in whatever anybody wants to teach. So, I mean, it's a very progressive, historically, organization for the city. Not only from like, you could go get your workout at the gym, but I mean, language classes, crafting classes. You need a wood shop. You can go to the wood shop. Like ways to make people in the city better if they want it. And it's everywhere. I mean, it's north, south, east, west. It's all over the city. There's big, beautiful, gorgeous parks. There's little tiny ones. And as we already talked about, this huge dance community doing so many things all over the place, but like inside a theater or inside a storefront or hard to find. And at that time, nobody was working in the summer. It was just a fall to spring season, and then everybody was off. That's a little different now. Companies are finding more ways to kind of keep things going all year. But I was like, nobody's using these assets that we have. So that was I was like, somebody needs to do this. And then I started looking around and I was like, I think that means I have to do this, because everyone else is doing their whole thing. And it took me a while. I mean, I moved to the city in 2004, and our first actual season was 2009. So it took me a little while to get my feet under me as just like a human in a new city and being able to pay bills. And then to find the people who would help me, because we had to make we're our own nonprofit. We had to build that, and then we had to get the dancers and the choreographers and everybody on board. There was a lot of begging the first year, I remember.
I can imagine.
Sure, we'll be good. But yeah, that was 2009 was our first season that we made it work, and we had 4 shows scheduled, and 1 got rained out. And I think our whole audience, like all together, was maybe 200 people. And now for year 10, we've reached over 10,000.
Wow.
Over the last 10 years.
That's astounding.
Yeah, it's exciting. And I mean, we're still tiny. I mean, it's this one time of the year when we do this thing. We have 22 days of rehearsal. Everybody's got to come in and get their jobs done and be ready. So it doesn't feel big. It doesn't feel established. It doesn't feel veteran in any way. But 10th season.
It's quite.
So, I mean, it's amazing.
That's quite an achievement with also 10,000 people coming into contact with dance in a park in the city. It's amazing. It really is quite amazing. And did you think it would grow to this, or was this your sort of your burning desire?
I had no idea, and I think we owe a lot of our growth to our partnership with the Park District. It started with me just getting somebody's contact information and being like, I think I can do this thing. And for this woman who is still the Krista Brisky-Richard, she's still the director of the Culture, Arts, and Nature part of the Park District. But she was like, seems good. Do you need money from us? And I was like,
yes, please.
That would be great. She's like, we don't have any. She's like, we don't really have any. But they gave us the space for free. They give us the stage for free. That's the Park District stage that we use. But we started it and it worked. I mean, like, people showed up, people enjoyed it. And we did a couple of years. It was like 4 shows, 5 shows. They gave us a little bit of money every year. It wasn't much. I had to do a lot of fundraising myself. But 6 years ago, our current mayor started an initiative called Night Out in the Parks. So there's specific funding for the Chicago Park District to do this cultural programming through the summer. So they got a little bit more money, but also the push to put things in the parks in the summer when we can be outside. And so that helped. I mean, we did like 10 shows at a time and then 16 shows at a time because we had the funding from those specific funds to build it, because they had the infrastructure for all of this summer programming. They do more than 1,000 events throughout the park in like 3 months.
It's incredible.
I mean, it's bananas how much work they do. And it's music of all kinds. It's dance of all kinds. It's participatory stuff. It's crafting.
Yeah, so tell us about those sorts of shows.
Take classes.
Yeah. So
and I mean, really, Chicago in the winter is mostly the worst, but Chicago in the summer is so beautiful. And Chicago's take advantage of those 3 months. I mean, you're at the beach, you're out at the festivals, you have to be outside soaking up all of the sun that we have, because we don't have it all the time.
Yeah, like London.
So when we summer hard. Yeah.
So tell me what the reaction of the audience have been, like those who are coming maybe for the first time, or what do people tell you in that massive 10,000 who come and visit you every year now?
Well, that's not an annual number. We're probably at about 3,000 per year.
Still amazing numbers.
The 10,000 was like a cumulative over our 10 years.
Okay.
Our 9 years so far, because we haven't done our 10th season yet. We're working on it. Most of the time, the reaction is really great. It's such a novel thing to walk into a park that you're in every day for whatever reason, and have this, stage set up and people dancing, that even if people don't stay, they'll stop and hang out, get off the bike, see what's happening.
Excellent.
And our goal really is to make sure that we are producing the most professional version of concert dance that we can, given that we are outside with no bells and whistles, to make sure that if it is your first concert dance experience, that it is excellent. I feel like there's stereotypes that exist about what ballet is and contemporary dance and all of that. And I think that is changing a little bit with the kinds of dance that are on TV. So You Think You Can Dance and Dancing with the Stars and things like that are putting different kinds of dance in front of people, even though that's not, it's a more commercial type of dance than what we do. I think the movement style is at least not quite as new. But we do want it to be an excellent first experience of real choreographers trying to make work that say things, totally trained dancers who are able to perform well, so that if that is your first experience, you are interested in following up, which is part of we take our show to 14 different places. So
Wow.
it's the same show every time. But to try to connect to the existing dance community, we have holes in our show where we can plug in youth performance partners, and we try to keep those as local to the park that we're at as possible. So it's kids, but it's also your kids, the ones
That's
that
such
are
a good
here.
idea.
Right. So if you want to take classes, that's the place. Like, go
Yeah.
talk to that lady over there who brought those kids. She'll get you in a class. And then at the end, we reach out to other professional companies in the city and ask for ticket donations. And at the end of the show, in exchange for your survey, we'll give you a raffle ticket. And we raffle off a different pair of tickets to see a show in the regular fall to spring season for someone else's show. So
Another
we can't
great
always
idea.
So we can't really get rid of all of the barriers to getting into the theater. Transportation is an issue for a lot of the south and west sides where we perform. So I can't necessarily make it free to get downtown to go to the auditorium theater, but I can get you tickets. So we can't always take care of childcare. We can't always take care of transportation, but we try to kind of lower the barriers into the dance community by pointing people to other things that they can do until we come back next summer.
That sounds so great. And what do people, what's the response from the audience and people who come? What do they say to you, or what do they say about it?
They love it for the most part. We almost never get bad feedback. And I mean, and some of the quote unquote bad feedback isn't bad. I mean,
Just
there
feedback.
are people who,
Yeah.
some of it, there have been several times when we're on the west side when people are like, you need more African-American dancers.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Okay.
you are correct.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
But we hire by either rehiring people who've danced with us before or having an audition. And it's a very specific hire. I mean, we have 22 days of rehearsal. If you can't do all of the things that I ask you to do in an audition, I can't use you because it's too fast. And I have to go from that audition. So the people who show up or don't show up, and I try to reach out like all over the city, like, please, everybody come. But it's such a very specific skill set that I feel like I'm kind of tied to who shows up.
Yeah.
And she's right. I would love to have the most diverse company that
Absolutely.
I can have
Yeah.
so that we really let people all over the city see themselves in what we do. But it's one audition.
Yeah, but for those who come and sort of bring their family, their dog, and their picnic, like you said before, they must love being able to be up so close to dancers. Which,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and to be outside and to be relaxed and to enjoy it whilst their kids run around.
Yeah, absolutely. And I haven't gotten specifically feedback from Dance in the Parks, but that was one of the things that when I was dancing in Kentucky, friends of mine who would come to the show would be like, it was just kind of cool to see you like sit over there and do crunches while you weren't dancing. And I was like, that was the best part of the show. That was it. I feel like you got ripped off money-wise. There were other really great things happening you should have been paying attention to. And it's not uncommon for kids to get up super close to the stage and dance with us. I mean, we try to keep them away from it for safety purposes. But I mean, they'll put elbows up and like feet are swinging by their face and they don't care. And little ones that are jamming out on the other side will make a run for the stage before mom catches them. We get at least 2 videos a year of some small child trying to join us, which is amazing.
It's so cute, but also to think that perhaps some of the audience, unless you took Dance in the Parks to their local park, they may not actually get this opportunity to see professional dancers and to be inspired. Yeah,
and I feel like there's huge parts of the population where like that's not even a thing they know about.
Yeah, would never consider doing
classes
it. Yeah,
I mean, that seems so foreign to me. I mean, just like, of course, this is my whole entire life. This is what I do every day. But, there's an entire population that that's not even a form of entertainment they would think about.
Yeah.
Much less a career path, which, again, may be ill-advised for some. I understand.
Not the easiest career path.
Yeah, and not really lucrative most of the time either.
No.
So, but worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Well, actually, now that you talk about the sort of career path and, inspiring, the young kids who come up and see you and try and run on stage, which is just adorable, you are quite a serious dance teacher. And I see that a lot of your students have gone on to other prestigious college programs, professional careers in ballet and contemporary and other commercial sort of dance opportunities and within the industry. I'm interested in your perspective, and you talked about, you have this audition for Dance in the Parks, and, you've got one shot to, select, find and select those who are able, either time-wise or skill-wise, etc., for Dance in the Parks. But when you're in the class as a dance teacher, and what are you sort of looking at, or what is your philosophy or approach when you are standing at the front there?
Well, I specifically teach ballet and all ballet things related. So even though the company is very contemporary, what I generally teach is classical.
Okay.
And that I feel is a more limited career path. If you can do it, if you were born with the genes and the work ethic and all of the things, and you can just do ballet as your career, I am here to help. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But I would say a majority of the people that I teach, maybe a ballet career isn't the thing, but the dance world is huge.
Yeah.
Like, there is room for you. You just got to be willing to do all the things until you figure out where your spot is that you can do the thing. So in a ballet class, expectations are high. Technique must be met, but safely. It's important for everyone to safely be able to do all the things to the ability that they can do it, because as much as I have many, many, many students who have gone on to dance careers, most of them are not going to, and don't even want to. They'll tell you, like, I'm going to be an engineer. And I'm like, great. Still straighten that knee for me. Thank you.
Love it.
They love it. So we got to be safe about it, and we have to still continue to love it. But you can learn all the other things. Like, you're really strong. You can do things that are hard, whether that's mentally or physically or spiritually. Like, all of those things come into the studio with you. So when you are an engineer, you have to work on these problems. You can know that you can figure out the steps and the things that you have to do on the way. And yes, it's going to be hard. And also, you're going to be fine. I think there's a lot of that in the classroom, while I'm also requiring high levels of technique. That's why we're here. We're going to do ballet, so let's do the best ballet we have. And then when you go to jazz and I poke my head in, I see you messing around, I'm also going to give you the look. I'm like, that's not what we do.
Yeah.
We do the best jazz we could do while we're there. So, and I feel like that's too, I think that kind of bleeds over into the company too, whereas I teach company class 2 days a week. My rehearsal director teaches company class 2 days a week. She does contemporary, she does modern, she does jazz, whatever. But in the rehearsal studio, the expectation is that you know what you're doing. You've reviewed what needed to happen from the last time. We're ready to go. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to baby you through all of this. And that's the reason that we can put a show together in 22 days of rehearsal, is that everybody's got to be on board for this. Yeah. I'm not messing around. And we have a great time. But the culture in the room is that we're going to do this well, but we have to do it quickly. So you need to get on the ball. Yeah. I'm here to help.
And what sort of dancers come to the auditions, and what sort of dancers end up performing? Are they a range? You say sometimes you work with people who worked before, but what sort of who wants to be involved?
It's mostly they're very strong contemporary dancers. Everybody's got their training in traditional ballet, modern, jazz, blah, blah, blah. But Chicago is just full of really good contemporary dancers. And
Fantastic.
that's what our choreographers are. So even though every choreographer has their own kind of little take or style, and all the themes of what we do are different, it's generally modern and contemporary based. So I need people who can pick that up quickly and also improvise in it, because a lot of the choreographers they incorporate the use of the dancers' brains in the creation of the movement. So that happens at the audition as well. We throw them little creation tasks to see if they can roll with it.
Wow.
I don't know. I think that, it's a lot. I mean, we start with ballet. We do some rep from the previous year to just see if you can pick up. And then, and I probably shouldn't give my secret away. We do 2 reps.
Okay.
One is to just let you show me that you are a contemporary dancer after everyone's been terrified of the ballet class. It's fine. And then the next one is usually too fast, and we don't give them enough time to learn it, and then we make them do it, because it does happen in our performances that things do not go according to plan, and I need to see you roll with the punches when it's not going well.
Wow.
So we stress them out on purpose, which I don't tell them when we're there, and now I'm giving up my secret, but we purposely don't let them get comfortable. And then at the end, we do like an improv thing where, like, you make up a phrase, and then you have to figure out how to make these phrases work together, and then you, and we mix it all up just to see how their brains work.
And I love that. I mean, it's so challenging, but I also love how you talk about the brain of the dancer. You know, it's not just about the body, and it's not just about the movement, but also about...
It can't be. It's so boring when it's just, but my legs and feet do the thing. It's got to be all of I feel like the most interesting things that I watch are very rarely just the technique. It's that I can see what they're thinking about when they do it. And that, I'm sure, is very specifically a teacher thing. Like, I can watch a body and tell what they're thinking about while they're doing it. But that's what I find so interesting, is like the math that is happening that makes this beautiful thing that you look at, as opposed to just like, well, her leg is higher.
Yeah. Really interesting.
That feeling of seeing them feel what they're doing somehow is what makes it really interesting, which sounds crazy.
No, it doesn't sound crazy. I think it sounds beautiful and intelligent, and it sounds sort of holistic and complete, you know, as you say, not just who has the highest leg and the greatest turnout, and, you know, who can, you know, recreate what I've just, you know, a set piece of rep that people know, but actually how do they respond, and how do they react, and who are they as people, and how does that create their movement and their performance. I think it's fantastic. Yeah.
Well, and it's a hard thing. Like, from a teaching point of view, that's such a hard thing. I need you to get your technique together. I need you to stand in this class and just think about all of the physical things that you have to do so that your body will train itself to do the things that you're going to be asked to do if you are a professional. But then it kind of requires turning yourself off to just do the mechanics of it, which doesn't make it interesting later. So there has to be that point when they start getting solid and aren't falling over when they try to do things anymore, where you have to be the person in the room. I mean, I need you to talk to me about when I ask you a question, and I need you to ask me the questions that you have. And I sometimes, if I'm a guest somewhere, that whole, like, button up, be respectful, don't talk, like, it takes me classes and classes for that. So you have to answer my question. It wasn't rhetorical. I need you to open your mouth and talk to me, because I need to know you're here and you're thinking, and you're not just staring at me and pretending to absorb the words that I'm saying. I need you to be here. And I think in some of my, like, upper intermediate and advanced classes, we do get a little chatty, but it comes from, like, I need you to ask the questions. If you don't understand, I need you to ask, because I can't tell. I can tell that you don't know what you're doing, but I don't know if you're confused about how or order, or you're just having a rotten day. Either, all of it, fine, but I need you to ask me what you need, so that maybe later in a room where someone's like, I need you to do a dance about an apple and a pancake, they're like, can you give me more direction? You know, and not feel stupid.
Yeah.
To just be like, I'm missing information. Somebody give me some more information, and be able to stand up as a human being and not just shut up and be a dancer. Appropriate in some situations, not most situations that I've worked in.
Wow, that certainly wasn't. I remember my ballet classes. There certainly wasn't any talking when I was doing it when I was growing up.
And the chit chat, yeah, exactly. And the chit chat amongst the students, not into it. But I do need like the relationship between me and each one of them. I need to know you're here as a person, you know. And if you're having a bad day, okay, but let's establish that.
Yeah.
So that it's not you being lazy, because sometimes they look the same. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just let me know. It's cool. Let's do that. And if you are having a bad day, then probably you're already a win for showing up. So we'll talk tomorrow.
Oh.
You know, like, you got to be people first, even though you do still have to turn out more and point your foot.
Yeah, that's wow.
It's a hard mix.
Yeah, and I think also it asks a lot of a person, I think, to be physically and emotionally and intellectually present and engaged, and then to be able to articulate it as well, and to be able to question. And there's also a freedom, I think, and an empowering sense that I hear from that, from what you give to dancers, that you would give to the young students. It feels very empowering and very sort of limitless almost to me.
Yeah. Well, and too, I mean, and I don't think a lot of them are very good at it for a very long time. You know, I mean, but that's what class is for, right?
Yeah.
You practice. You're not there to be good. You're there to get better. So, like, I'm going to just keep picking on those shy 11-year-olds to be like, what are you missing?
Wow.
I mean, I can tell what it is, but like, you need to figure it out. And I think too, that's part of, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, like, maybe they don't all grow up to be professionals, but shouldn't we raise the professionals we want to work with?
Yeah.
There may have been a place and a time, and maybe there still is, but I didn't work in it, where you do need to just shut up and learn the steps. But nobody likes working that way.
No.
I mean, it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
You know, and to just, these are the steps, do it the way I said, and then you're the obnoxious one for asking the question about, like, but does it go like this? You know, whatever.
Yeah.
I would rather raise dancers who expect people to treat them like people.
Yeah.
So that maybe, you know, the environment changes.
Yeah.
Because I'm not asking for anyone to baby them.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to come in, you have yourself together and be ready to go. But, I mean, we're all people. It is a job. You're paying me to do my job.
Yeah.
I don't actually have to stand here and listen to you yell at me. How about we exchange information so that I am not frustrating you? That seems like more of a job that I would like to do.
I wish
and then also, how lucky are we to dance? I mean, that shouldn't be the only thing. You're so lucky to do this.
That's, well, honestly, I just think I wish you. I would love to have had that experience when I was growing up, I have to say, and I can imagine that the students in your classes love it.
I always had that experience growing up.
I think things have changed since we you know. Over the decades, dear God. A long time ago when I was a child. You know. Yeah, he's hoping. Yeah.
And I mean, and I never had really any horrible experiences at all. I had a lot of, while I was working, a whole lot of like, we're in this together. And while people would get frustrated, it was very rarely directed at somebody. But we've all heard the horror stories. Yeah. And there's still misbehavior happening in the news. Yeah. I mean, why don't we just raise our dancers to expect more of themselves and therefore those around them?
Yeah, and then to speak up when it's not achieving that high standard.
Yeah.
So talking of high standards, it's your 10th season of Dance in the Parks. What are you doing that's extra special to celebrate this quite monumental moment for you?
Well, I don't know that we're monumental. I don't feel like we reached the state of monumental at the size that we're at.
Okay.
We are, outside of the performances, we are having, and we have not announced it yet, but we are having like a reunion. I'm trying to get all of our artists over the last 10 years to at least come to a show and then have a little event afterwards.
Fantastic.
Where we can catch up. And I mean, I feel like it's over 100 people that we've hired in 10 years.
Wow.
To make things and tech things and all of that. We commissioned a finale last year that was supposed to do what it's going to do this year, but the scheduling didn't work out to fulfill the two parts of it. So last year, our professional company learned the finale that we're doing. Joshua Blake Carter, who has been a longtime member of Giordano Dance Chicago, which is it's been around 60-something years, I feel like, the jazz company, Gus Giordano's company. Mm-hmm. He choreographed our finale last year called Our Town that really is his idea of like all of the great things about Chicago in the summer. And we were supposed to have our youth partners join us at the end. So there's like a 45-second ditty at the end that they're going to do in front of the stage. So we truly have a big, huge finale with everybody in it. But he couldn't come and work with our professional company until the week before the show last year, so we couldn't implement it with the kids. So this year, we're starting it with some of our longtime youth partners. They are learning this little finale bit. So we will have a true full cast finale at the end of our show, which I think will be so great. We love having those kids on our show, and it always felt wrong to have us close it and be like, see you later, kids. You need to be a part of this.
Yeah,
because
get up on stage.
Dance your butt off during our show. Yeah. So that's exciting. We have some returning choreographers who, Peter Carpenter, he always does really thoughtful, even if they're not outwardly political, really thoughtful pieces of choreography. And he hasn't been able to work with us for several years because he's the chair at the Dance Center at Columbia College here in town.
Okay.
And it's just a busy man. And he's back, and he made a piece called This Is What Cooperation Could Look Like. And I mean, and that's all. He doesn't have any other commentary with it, but just in the times
quite
that we're
profound in a few words, though, isn't it?
Right?
Yeah.
And it's so nice to have him back. I tried to get a bunch of returning people, but some of our people have been longtime Chicago artists, have moved on to other jobs out of the city, so it's hard to get them to come back.
Yeah.
But I'm so proud that we're at a point where choreographers come to me when I used to have to beg people, please, will you do this thing? I swear it will be good. That now people are so interested in, like, that's such a cool project. If you need anybody for next year, please keep me in mind. Like, I get to pick from all of the amazing talent in Chicago because
incredible.
They're interested in being a part of it, which is amazing because there's reasons why it's not an easy job.
Yeah.
You got to work really fast. You got to have a plan. Most of them don't always know the dancers before they walk in that room, you know. And no, you can't have a light or a blackout or a wing. I'm sorry.
Work with what we have.
It's a good dance.
Yeah. So after your 10 years, and although you say it's not monumental, I think it's still, 10 years is quite a huge thing. And doing such a good thing as well.
That's how we did it.
Well, like you say, in the studio, you just continue to get better and better. What's the next 10 years looking like? If you've dared to sort of look beyond.
Right. I don't know how big we can get. I would love to do a longer summer season. I don't know that I can get dancers. I mean, they all have contracts that they're on, and so I can't get them until they're done. So we got to have some rehearsal time. So maybe we could do things through July and August and do more of them. But that also depends on the park district. I mean, their night out in the park schedule is so crazy that they might not actually be able to squeeze us into more things because we use their stage. And it would, I would love to try and get out of the city and kind of the collar counties, some of the suburban park districts around.
Yeah.
But that is a budgetarily exponential jump because we don't have a stage. So we would have to rent one and rent people to set it up and travel farther. So it's not that it couldn't be done, but it's a big leap monetarily for us to be ready to do it. But I would love to just kind of keep creeping away from the city center. And because, I mean, all the professional dance is in the city.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not even really, there's maybe one or two performance venues in the nearby suburbs that are frequently used for dance. So it doesn't really, I mean, you really do have to come into the city to see whatever's happening dance-wise in the city. So it would be nice to kind of reach out there. And I mean, we got all the dance studios in the suburbs. I mean, I teach at several of them. There's no shortage of really good youth performers that we could pull in, but it's a matter of each suburban city, like getting to their park district and where can we do it. And I have to move a stage and hire people. And so the scale up is a big scale up. But
a worthy aspiration.
Yeah, sure. So if there's any funders out there who want us to bring more dance to Elgin, I'm here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put a call out. Brands in Chicago, put your logo and your money behind Dance in the Park so they can take dance out to the suburbs.
I'm ready.
Absolutely.
I don't mind the extra work.
I absolutely trust you don't. You sound like you've got enormous amounts of energy and drive and ambition. I just want to thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about Dance in the Parks. I wish you all the best and for your 10th season, which sounds amazing. And give us the dates.
We start Tuesday, July 10th, and it runs weeknight evenings until August 3rd. And all of our dates and the information about the partners who are joining us, as well as our ticket giveaways, are at our website, which is danceintheparks.org. One dance, many parks. Sometimes extra S's get in there. Dance in the Parks.
Danceintheparks.org.
Yep.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, Katie. Lovely to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoy your podcast. Keep up your great work.
Don't forget to subscribe. We've got some incredible interviews coming up with principal ballerinas and renowned choreographers. We love dance and ballet, and we hope you'll love us. Join us on Facebook and Twitter.